Welcome to Reds Focus LFC fans. Today we bring you the top 4 breaking Liverpool news headlines. Let's dive in. First one. Liverpool need to make signing before transfer window closes. But it's not Alexander Isak. Liverpool should be trying to sign Marc Guehi from Crystal Palace before the transfer window closes next week as they continue their pursuit of Newcastle's Alexander Isak. The obvious talk before the game was Liverpool's pursuit of Alexander Isak. It's no secret the Reds want to add another attacker before the window closes next week, and the Magpies striker is their #1 choice. It made for an interesting subplot, but the game itself was more evidence that it is, at the other end, the Reds may need to strengthen further. Liverpool have already spent on their defense with the arrivals of Milos Kerkez, Jeremy Frimpong, and Giovanni Leone, the latter a promising 18-year-old center-back. They have 4 senior players for the central roles in Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahima Konate, Joe Gomez, and Leone. So there is no desperate desire to recruit this summer there, and they won't be panicked into doing so. But watching Konate's struggles against Newcastle after a poor game against Bournemouth previously, it will have been easy to see why they want Marc Guehi. Many raised eyebrows as to why the Reds would pursue the Crystal Palace center-back, and even more so as to why he would consider going there in a World Cup year. But Konate is not an undroppable player for the Reds, and if they can land Guehi before the window closes, he will get minutes. There's obviously the France defender's contract situation to consider as well, with a new deal yet to be agreed, and just 12 months on his current one. Liverpool want Konate to stay and have held discussions, but the arrival of Guehi would give them more reassurances there. Leone is a center-back who can play on both sides of the defense, but there's a feeling he could be a replacement for Van Dijk in the future if his development continues. He will get plenty of game time. Gomez's fitness should be a concern too. But the Reds also want competition for Konate, and Guehi would not only bring that, he would really push for his place in the current team. Guehi has made his feelings clear that he wants to move to Anfield this summer. He has the belief he can become a starter there. It's a risk given the World Cup this summer, but he backs himself to play enough to ensure he's in Thomas Tuchel's team in the US. He could play this season for Palace and go to Liverpool next summer on a free. It's something the Reds won't rule out if they can't get a deal done. Palace boss Oliver Glasner doesn't want to sell the player, but Chairman Steve Parish knows getting a fee for him could be crucial for their finances. Guehi is a transfer that could go down to the wire next Monday, but it was Monday this week, which maybe helps the Anfield hierarchy know they should push for him now. Ngumoha warning sent after Liverpool's sensation breaks record in Newcastle win. After Ngumoha's stunning winner against Newcastle United, the Liverpool teenager's family have been sent a firm warning by a former prodigy who could not achieve his dream. The image of Ngumoha's jubilant celebration against Newcastle United could become one of the most iconic pictures in Liverpool history. Just shy of his 17th birthday by 4 days, the young prodigy netted an extraordinary winning goal, securing a crucial 3-2 away victory for the Reds, becoming the youngest Premier League scorer in the club's history in the process. However, before the inevitable wave of endorsement offers and media opportunities reaches him, former Wonder Kid Sonny Pike has advised his family to do everything possible to protect him from opportunists and others looking to capitalize on his skill. In the 1990s, at just 14 years old, Pike was dubbed the English Maradona and had endorsement deals with big names like Paul Smith, McDonald's, and Mizuno. His father, a builder who had no interest in football until Pike's talent was discovered, agreed upon all these deals, along with numerous media and television opportunities with shows like Blue Peter and Fantasy Football. On the pitch, Pike had caught the attention of Ajax, who regularly flew him from his home in Enfield to Amsterdam, where he trained alongside stars like Wesley Sneijder and Raphael van der Vaart. However, the immense pressure and external interference gradually eroded his emotional well-being. The final blow came when his father signed him up to star in a television documentary, where a camera crew filmed him while he was on trial for Chelsea. What they believed was a program showcasing his extraordinary childhood abilities proved to be a documentary titled Coaching and Poaching, which strongly implied the Blues were attempting to recruit him whilst he remained on Leyton Orient's books. An FA tribunal resulted in Pike being banned from participating in football for a year, a ruling that destroyed his passion for the sport and virtually terminated his career before it had truly begun. Pike's experience serves as a cautionary tale for families of promising youngsters about the pitfalls of placing financial and commercial gains ahead of footballing progression. In an interview with the Liverpool Echo, Pike, who currently operates his own football coaching company, delivered a crucial message to Ngumoha's family and others with similarly gifted children. He said, "Looking at my whole journey, I would say this is a sprint, but it's with hurdles. It's not a 100-meter dash. This is a marathon with hurdles. Getting him on the pitch might be the first hurdle, but then you've got all the dramas that come with it, all the fame that's going to come with it. It's also about how their families react to all the attention as well, because it's not just him. There'll be people trying to get into his mom and dad or his cousins and everything else. It's just all sorts of layers of pressure coming in from different angles. It will be, can we do this? Can we do that? People coming in here, money, everything else, sponsorships and that. But to be fair, with Ngumoha, I haven't seen too much media attention, so it seems to be from the outside looking in. They're doing a good job with him off the pitch. The poise, skill, and absolute clinical nature of his strike at St. James's Park indicates Ngumoha, who arrived from Chelsea in the summer of 2024, possesses all the attributes needed to flourish at Anfield. Beyond his goal on Tyneside, he also netted a superb effort during a 4-1 preseason triumph against Athletic Bilbao. Regarding on-field matters, Pike harbors no doubts about Ngumoha's capabilities. Rather, he thinks how he is managed off the pitch will prove crucial. He continued, "If they're good enough to play, I don't really see much on the age side of it. For me, it's more the environment and how they're looked after off the pitch. That's what I think all the time. The main thing is controlling the environment around them. By the time I was 15, I'd had 4 or 5 agents by then. It's a big difference. Can they get people around them to help manage the pressure because they're going to get a lot of people around them that want to be around them just for their own benefits." Alexander Isak transfer latest as Newcastle United attempt fails with Liverpool waiting. Alexander Isak has reportedly reaffirmed his intention to join Liverpool after meeting with Newcastle United owners. Alexander Isak remains intent on moving to Liverpool before next Monday's transfer deadline, despite efforts from Newcastle United's owners to persuade the striker to stay. Ahead of Monday's Premier League meeting between the two clubs, Isak was visited at his home by a delegation from the Public Investment Fund, including club chairman Yasser Al-Rumayyan and Newcastle co-owner Jamie Rubin, and multiple reports in the Northeast have now stated attempts to negotiate a deal for the Sweden international to stay at St. James Park have failed, with the player continuing to train away from the Newcastle first-team squad and determined to leave for Anfield. Liverpool saw a British record $110 million offer rejected by Newcastle at the start of the month and subsequently decided not to make an improved bid unless given encouragement by the Magpies. Having been vehement, Isak wasn't for sale this summer. Newcastle released a statement last week that intimated they would be open to a departure if certain conditions are met, which are understood to be their signing 2 more forwards and receiving an offer in the region of 150 meters for Isak. Newcastle continue to chase Brentford's Jon Wissa and are in talks with Wolves over a move for Jorgen Strand Larsen, having had an initial 50 meters offer rejected. They also have an interest in Nicholas Jackson, who has been deemed surplus to requirements at Chelsea. Isak hasn't featured for Newcastle since the end of last season, having made it clear he wanted to leave with Liverpool, his preferred next destination. He was absent as the Reds earned a dramatic 3-2 win on Tyneside and won't feature in Newcastle's game at Leeds United on Saturday. Liverpool remain interested in Isak, with the imminent transfer deadline meaning Newcastle will soon have to make A final call on whether to hold further talks with the Reds or face the uneasy prospect of reintegrating a player who last week claimed to have lost trust in the club due to broken promises. Jamie Carragher. Alexander Isak's situation has now changed. Jamie Carragher believes the situation around Alexander Isak to Liverpool has now changed. Here's why. Liverpool are desperate to sign Alexander Isak. It appears they don't even have an alternative in mind. The Reds have had him on their shortlist, right at the top of it, since the start of the year. He's their ultimate pick to lead the line as the Reds' new number 9 Newcastle United are less enthusiastic. They want to hold on to their star man, or at least they did. Isak has pushed hard for a move to happen, refusing to train or play for his club. Will that stance hold once the transfer window shuts next week? That's less clear, but Newcastle and Isak probably don't want to find out. Liverpool did put an offer in for Isak, of course, but the Magpies rejected it. It was a British record fee too, but there's a sense that Newcastle will not sell unless a replacement striker is in there. But there's another factor here, and Jamie Carragher feels it has had an impact. Newcastle United versus Liverpool 1 storyline. Heading into this season was that Newcastle would host Liverpool before the transfer window shut. Who would Isak be playing for? As it turned out, he played for neither. Isak is essentially on strike as he tries to get this move through. But Jamie Carragher feels he was never going to be wearing red at St. James's Park. Yeah, I don't think a deal was ever going to get done before this game, he told Monday Night Football on Sky Sports ahead of the game. It'll be interesting what happens in the next few days. That it will. With the fixture behind us, the situation has changed, and Newcastle may be a little more inclined to sell a player who now can't play against them, at least in one fixture. Of course, there are bigger factors at play. Newcastle do need to bring someone in, and it may well be that they don't sell at all because of a perceived hit to their reputation, but things are now a little easier to Newcastle to sell. Carragher may well be right in that they were never going to sell ahead of this game and that things have been on pause. At the same time, they'd probably have told Isak that was the case, and perhaps he'd have played, so we'll see how things land in the next week. It promises to be the biggest story of the window.